Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Robert Jerome Pagan, and I am the co-director of the Merced Queer Film Festival. First, I want to say congratulations to the City of Merced and the Merced City Council, who yesterday upheld visibility for our community and approved the pride flag flying in City Square for the month of June. Congratulations. And I also want to thank every single one of the community members who went out in support to stop hate and to have visibility be important to Merced. The Merced Queer Film Festival is not just about films, it is about community. And the Merced Pride Center was a huge part of that, and I'm extremely excited about that. Well, today I'm going to have the director of Good Enough, me, Mike Spears, and I just invited him, so he should be in here soon. But we are just weeks up. Here we go. Hey, how are you doing, Mike?
Pretty good. How about you?
I am good. Oh my God, I love that sweater.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I know, like the little branding. You're over here branding, and I'm over here looking like I'm a '90s Gap commercial.
You can just step in.
Oh, yeah.
Adam is here, my partner.
Hey.
Yeah, producer of it. Yeah, I just wanted to stop in and say like how proud I am, Mike, and so how excited I am for you guys to be showing it at Merced and for people to get the opportunity to watch it there.
So, fun fact, you said you're the producer, right?
Yeah.
So my husband, my partner, Giovanni, me and him produce our movies together. So since I have you both here, I have a question for both of you, because this is something that we get asked all the time.
Okay.
How was it producing something so intense with the person that you like spend your entire life with? How was that balancing the movie and a relationship? Because me and my husband do it fairly well, but I know that a lot of people have challenges, and I always find it fascinating because I love it and I would not change anything about it. I would constantly always want to be producing with my husband. But so how was it with you, for you two?
I actually feel the same. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else but Adam, honestly. I think it does make it, hard in moments because we're in a relationship together, so we have to also work together on this project. So some things kind of do melt together in its own little way. But to be honest, I think I wouldn't imagine doing it with somebody else. I feel like he gets it and understands how I like things to go, and same with him. I understand how he wants things to go. And
Yeah, I think we're pretty transparent. We're not going to say like, oh, that was a breeze and everything was great,
Right.
But like, 98% of it, I think was pretty effortless, and really just like any little friction, creative differences or whatever, I think were really just opportunities to even strengthen the relationship, to learn how to work through those and, negotiate.
Yep, exactly.
Exactly. Okay. So, I mean, honestly, one of the things that me and my husband, and it's constant, it's always font. It's text font on posters. It's always, that's the one thing, the one pet peeve. So is there like one thing that you guys continuously find that you guys differ on?
It could be the font sometimes.
Font has come up.
That has come up, definitely. It's been the font. It's been sometimes, I would say maybe the colors, and like you may have, because you've seen Good Enough already. So in the film, like we may have, had different sense than what the color of that particular scene or whatever it should have been, but what we did do sometimes is say, okay, you're going to be the color person and you handle that scene and I'll do this scene, and then so we end up doing it that way and just respecting each other's, visions.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love when partners can create together. Like I always tell people, I don't want kids, and the closest thing to kids that I will have is the work that I do and the movies and the musicals that I produce. And so I'd rather be doing that with the person that I would want to have kids with. And so that is always something that I think I always have mad respect for it. So kudos to both of you. Now I have seen your film, and we are all like in love with your film over here. My co-director, she's obsessed with it. And I'm a musical guy, so I love musicals, and I was really surprised how many musicals we got submitted, and then I went, oh, well, it is a queer film festival, Robert. Like, that kind of makes sense. But you guys so far have 2 nominations, Best Overall Feature and Best Comedy or Musical.
Thank you so much for that too, Merced. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, and there's more nominations coming out too. Everyone's like, oh my God, we really wanted it to be like the queer version of like the Academy Awards, but just a little bit more like Coachella versus Academy Awardee. A little more accessible and fun. We have our award show and we'll do the red carpet then, but the event's really like supposed to be fun and about gathering and connecting. But I wanted to make sure that we had a nomination process that really got to focus on the wide range of the queer film that we have, the queer films we have, but also on the talent. So like we have acting nominations will be coming out. We'll have cinematography, editing, all that stuff, because it's really important to celebrate the films as a whole. And being a filmmaker, I know that it doesn't just take 2 people.
That's absolutely true.
Let's talk about the amazing cast you have.
Oh.
Now, how did the casting process happen for you, and how did you find them all? First of all, the guy who plays Jamal is incredible. The emotional range he has, the jumping back from singing, and also he just has that every guy feel. Like I really feel like people in Merced will connect with that character because we know that character. Like He's living next door to me, and he's on the high school basketball team right now, getting ready to go to college. And so, like, how was that? How was the casting process for that?
The casting process was it was quite long because we had a 10-person cast, and for the individual you're speaking of, Jay Towns, that played Jamal in the film, we loved Jay's first audition he sent his first audition. I think it was just like him reading some of the script that we had. And mind you, at the time we auditioned Jay, Good Enough wasn't even a film. It was supposed to be a stage play. So this was a stage play we were putting together. And then we eventually were not very happy with how that was going. So we decided to say, hey, how we just make it a film and see how it goes. And we just overnight almost made a new script. So we got Jay from doing a stage version of it. And yeah, he was just phenomenal. And then what I loved about his singing audition was when I wrote the songs, I also like recorded my own vocals, demoing, and you may even hear me singing some background vocals throughout the musical. So it's like I felt like he was trying to out-sing me on his audition. And I loved it though. I loved that he was, daring in that way. So I felt like, this is somebody that's not only going to take this role, but likely would move forward with other projects too, whether for us or somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave you to Mike. I actually have to run.
Oh, you got it. Yeah.
Awesome. But I'll see you. We'll see you at the festival, right, Adam?
No, unfortunately, I won't.
He won't be there, but I'll be there.
You'll be there, Mike.
So much fun.
That's sad. Well, it was nice seeing you, Adam, and hopefully we can catch up. And when we're in Chicago, we'll have to the 4 of us will have to get dinner.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thank you so much.
Of course.
I'm stopping by.
So another one of the performers, and let me pull it up right here because I don't want to mess this up on the character name.
We have, and our cast, they are very humble and just understanding people. So I'm sure they will be understanding.
So the person who plays Miss Woodward,
yeah,
Marie, it's Marie, right?
Yeah, Marie France. She will go by France. So, but yeah, you're right. It's Marie France. We call her France, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not. Yeah, we'll see. But I know you're talking about. Yeah.
She, she's the mother that every person of color who is queer wants. Now, how did straight up, I was like, yes. How did you find her? Talk a little bit about creating, because you also wrote the movie, creating that character. Where did that character come from your writing process? Mm-hmm. And how was it transformed when you cast her?
Oh yeah. Okay. So we found France on backstage.com, and that's also how we found Jay, and pretty much most of the cast. We found them on backstage.com. So shout out to Backstage for allowing us to use their platform to cast. But I found her there, and the character definitely developed from what it was on paper to having friends. And how I was writing the character was using all the voices that I grew up with, like, you know, my mom, my aunts, my grandmother. So they were all those voices. So they were all that person packed into one person. And then when I auditioned, you know, obviously we had many people to audition for that role. It was just something about Fran. She just had that edgier, you know, just that I knew that I would fall in love with her watching her, and I hope that other people would do the same. They would fall in love with this person. Like, they want to know, I want to give this lady a hug. And that's honestly what I felt when I seen her audition. I felt like she felt that warm, and I wanted to hopefully have that translate in the film.
Yeah, no, and it translated very, very well. Now, one of the aspects that I really love of you about your film, and it's not like the forefront aspect, and it's not like right like in people's face, but is the aspect of what it's like to be in a queer interracial relationship. You know, my husband and I we're both Latin. I'm Afro-Latino. He's Mexican, but so I guess we have a little bit more of an understanding there. But I've definitely dated you know, white guys and Asian guys and different guys from outside of my cultural understanding or outside of my own lane. And I think that there is a difference, but the white versus the person of color interracial topic that is talked about in your film is something that people don't really talk about very much, but it is something we learn. We have to learn. And I think when I talk about my marriage, we've been married almost 13, 14 years. We got married at 20 and 21. Like we were young.
Wow.
And, you know, and now we're in our 30s and we're still together. And people go, "Oh, how did you guys do it?" And I go, you know, because most heterosexual people are like, "Oh, we have kids, and so we had to battle through the kid aspect." You guys didn't even have kids. I'm like, well, but the thing is you have to learn to grow together, and understand. And so what made you want to address that in your film? But also, what do you think the ultimate message is coming away from that? Because sometimes, like, I know people don't understand what it's like to be a black person or a brown person.
Right.
And so they just don't get it. And you do so well of addressing that I wanted to make sure that we talked about it now.
And
so let's go with that.
So much. I'm happy to hear you say that. That was dressed so well, because that was one part I was very nervous to tap around, because I wanted to make sure that part was, you know, because that's one of the core pieces in this film, right? So I'm glad to hear you say that. To be honest, it was definitely an experience I may have had, you know, in the past with dating, you know, interracially, because at this point in my life, you know, I want to say I have many exes, because exes you gotta work for that. But I feel like I've dated, you know, I've definitely dated. And I've definitely dated in those situations where I felt more like an object or more of the fantasy, as opposed to actually someone that was good enough to be taken home to meet your family. So I definitely had that experience. And I wanted to sort of speak to that, but do it in a more creative way, where it wasn't just like, you know, as black men, we're not just sexual fantasies. We are people with feelings and with lives, and who are creative and who are ambitious and, you know, intelligent. So I wanted to sort of speak to that. And that's why when I wrote the role for Jamal, I wanted him to not only have basketball, because I knew people was going to look at that and say, "Oh, that's so stereotypical, the black guy plays basketball," but you know, but I wanted to also give him a more of a depth to him, that basketball wasn't even the, you know, that was something he could do, but he was also more talented in his other fields of study, which was political science. So I think, you know, that's why I wrote that character that way. So I definitely relate to that part. And I just hope people take away that, it's okay to date outside of your race, but if you're dating outside of your race, understand that, you know, there is a difference between having a fantasy of, because let's be real, like, as gay men, we have many fantasies, and sometimes those fantasies, you know, intertwine with different races and different ways of cultures. but I want to make sure that when people are dating, they are dating for the person and not for the fantasy. And yeah.
Yeah, no, you did a phenomenal job of addressing that in the film. And I also think the one thing that I really liked about your film is it made good commentary on DL culture without being a DL movie. Without, you know what I mean? Like without being like this is definitely what it touches on it, it addresses it, you understand the fear, but like it doesn't have the negative connotation that a lot of like DL movies have. It comes from the understanding of like people need time to understand who they are, and they need to go through that. And so like I really not personally identify. I came out in 8th grade, so like I'm like the worst person to talk about being in the closet, because I was out proud in 8th grade and got my butt kicked every day. But like I think for Jamal, you really do see the struggle, and it is harder for men who are people of color or black men or brown men to come out because of the stigma inside of our own communities. And I think that showing that struggle was so, I mean, because like it's not only that, it's like he's an athlete. We know how being gay and an athlete is portrayed. Right. He's a black man. Being an Afro-Latino, I understand what it means to have every card against you and not want to throw another one on top of it, right. Even though so I get all that, and I saw all that. And I think the cool thing is it almost flips where Trevor's character almost becomes the object for a second or two. And I think that was great. Like the commentary that was great. And then you do it with songs. Everything's done with music too, guys. That's the great thing, is it's like it's and the music's good, and you have a good variety of sounds and feels in the music. So let's talk about that. What inspired the music of Good Enough?
The music was just because I'm a songwriter, and that's like what I've been doing for a lot of my life. And so every moment of my life, like this moment is a song, so me writing a song to having a soundtrack of a movie has always been a dream that I had, because I grew up around like the 90s where, you had the big movie, you had a soundtrack, and I always wanted to be, that baby face that wrote the soundtrack to a movie. So now I have it. Mm-hmm. But so the music for this, it actually developed over time, because it started as one thing and then it went to another song. So each song probably have 3 or 4 different versions of itself, just trying to find that right moment, that right feel to it. Like the song Good Enough, like the opening song, was written over and over again until I finally sat with myself and was like, okay, what is he trying to say? And I just plainly, I just like, no tricks, not too many metaphors here, just go for it. What is he trying to say? I want to be good enough. I want to be good enough for you. And that, I'm like, that's exactly what he needs to say. And that's how that came about. And some of the other songs also came about that same way. Like the song 99 Pills was a song also that was written and rewritten because I just wasn't totally satisfied with either the music or just direction of the song. And so I finally got that one piece that I feel like I was missing, which honestly was the guitars in that song. And then I rewrote the song, and then the character that plays Nathan, which is Ben Rudiger, he came back to the studio here at my home, and we recorded it again, and it came out to what it is now.
And let's talk about that song and the character that Ben plays as well, because on all topics, you talk about the pain of what drug addiction and what mental illness and what depression and what suicide, like, it's so well done. And again, you do it through song. What was the drive for you to put that into the film? Because one,
this is a feature film. Like, it is a feature film, and it has clear arcs. And so I know that a lot of filmmakers would have been like, well, let's mainstream here. And I'm glad you did it, because it's very important of a topic, and it's something that I could see someone going, oh, well, we have to cut. And I'm glad you didn't. What made you make that choice not to?
I appreciate you so much for just saying that, because I definitely have had that feels that that particular part of it was a bit too heavy for a lot of people. And even other parts of the film were a bit heavy that people didn't want to, they just want, like you said, go mainstream. They don't want to talk about those tough things. And I think for me, and this being my first like feature film, my first film, I want to like be that person that touches on those hard things. And I feel like if we're going to make films about our lives, we're not making films for Instagram where we can like fake it until we make it type of thing. Let's make films about these things for real. And to be honest, with that particular topic, and even with the Nathan character, I wish that, and maybe I can do a prequel somehow, it's good enough, because I want to actually explore that a lot more than just in Good Enough. And to put it in Good Enough, I was kind of like, I don't know, because the story is mostly about Jamal and Trevor. I don't want it to take away from Jamal and Trevor, so how could I still utilize and still get a message out about this while staying true to the love story? And I was hoping that using, that Nathan story could help bridge Jamal and Trevor's story and even bringing them closer together. That was my hope for using that story. And yeah.
Awesome. If there was one goal, one thing that you wish your film does or has done, if you reach this goal already, what would it be?
I would hope that my film could touch someone in a special way, so much so that it gives not only me, but the actors a chance at this. And even if it's mainstream, and doing those mainstream things, I'm hoping someone can see this film and say, yo, they're deep. These people for real, like they do this for real, for real. Let's give them a chance to do bigger things. I think that's definitely one of my goals, for people to see this and take us serious. And, yeah.
Yeah, no, I love Good Enough. It's one, and I will be honest, it is one of those films. I think I messaged you guys. I was like, please submit your film. I keep on seeing it all the way. I want to watch this film. And I'm so glad that I did, because it's impacted me. It's shown me a different way. It's a new way of making a musical.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah, and it is a different way to make a musical. And the thing is, I love musical films, but I'm not like a musical buff. So if you throw a name of a song at me, I'm like, I remember the song, but I don't know where that came from, But when I see musical films, I feel like they're done in a certain way. And I kind of wanted to just do it in a way where I would enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like, this is how I would want it to be. Like, where there was something that happened and then there was a song that kind of gave it a little bit more depth and actually gave it more meaning. I would appreciate that. So that's something I hope people also go into watching Good Enough, not thinking this is, The Greatest Showman or, those other, Hollywood produced films. This is, number one, an independent, musical film, and we do it in our own little way. And I hope that hopefully I'm carving out my own little lane and I can do my next film sort of in the same direction in a little bit. And yeah.
So we do have a question from Angel Lopez.
Okay.
What was the most uncomfortable experience making the film?
Oh wow, good question, Angel. The most uncomfortable thing for me was that it was my first film, and I went to film school and graduated back in 2009. However, I have not worked in film since I walked across that stage. So it was extremely intimidating, because I'm like, cameras have changed. I was in school back when we still had DV tapes, and that's how we had to, do our films. Now everything is like digital. So for me, it was like kind of scary, because I now have to be the student once again, even though I'm in, debt with these, student loans or whatever, but I had to be the student again. So that was intimidating. And for me to come and do a film, a feature film, I was just like, I don't know. I did have moments where I felt like, I don't know if I can actually do this. But yeah, I just persisted and kept going. But another uncomfortable thing, so that was uncomfortable just being new to this. But I was definitely saying another uncomfortable thing was as a first time director, and I knew that I wanted to have intimate scenes within my film. I was uncomfortable as a director because I didn't want to seem like a porn director as I'm directing, the scenes for them to be intimate or whatever. So what we did was we did hire an intimacy coach to come in and help with, I would tell them what I wanted. This is what I'm looking, this is my vision for it. I want them to pretty much coach the guys into being comfortable to give us what we needed for the camera.
So I will also, I'm gonna share with you. As everyone knows, I'm also a filmmaker. One of my film is premiering on Sunday that we made for the festival.
I'm looking forward to it.
We also had an intimacy scene. I was also in this intimacy scene. So like, I totally get it. And so like, as a director, this is now, I've made 11 movies in the last 2 years. And 11 features in the last 2 years. And this was the first time that I've directed a couple sex scenes, but this is the first time that I was in one that I was also directing. And I will have to say it comes down to the comfort of the other actor. Like me and him were just so comfortable with each other. It was like fun.
Right.
But like also the comfort with having like my assistant director and the producers and just like it was a very comfortable environment. So like, I definitely get that. But also let's make the commentary on why is it always gay men directors who feel like when we have to do a simulated sex scene in a film, people are going to think we're porn directors. See, like, hey, I love Pat Rocco. I love Pat Rocco, the filmmaker.
Yeah.
But that probably is the reason why everyone in America, when they think gay cinema, think, oh, there's gonna, and like Pat's stuff was not raunchy at all. It was gorgeous and beautiful, but they just think that there has to be these sex scenes.
Right. Because I think, yeah, we all are sexual beings and people. So I think especially in the gay male side of things, at least my experience is gay men get off, on the thing. So I think, and let's keep it real. Let's call a spade a spade, and I feel like not that our films cannot have those things in it and still be successful. However, when I wrote Good Enough, I wrote this for a gay male audience, honestly. However, there have been some of our lesbian friends who love the movie just as well. And I'm so happy about that because now I'm thinking and I want to explore that. That's something that I don't know a lot about, so I want to learn. But when it comes to sex and putting it on screen for gay,
Yeah, you're here. You're back.
okay. Yeah, so I think having the sex scenes is kind of what just, it helps us to bring in an audience sometimes, to be honest. Not that we need it. And I will maybe in the future make a film that just doesn't have it. But I think that sometimes, especially when you have attractive characters in your thing and, that people are going to want to probably see a little bit bare, you got to seize the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, yeah, I agree there, but I also think that it's a big part of the story. Like when you have a story about someone discovering themselves in their sexuality, sex is a part of that. Like that is a part of that. I mean, and I don't necessarily think that people want to see me having sex on film, but it's a part of the story. But like it's the beauty of what it is. Now, I'm going to do something very special right now.
Okay. Can you see me?
Officially.
Do you see me?
I can.
Okay.
I can see you. We're going good.
I don't see you.
Officially, I am going to announce that Good Enough will be playing at the Mainzer on Saturday, a part of Block 3. So it will be playing at the Mainzer in the big viewing screen room in Block 3, which is from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's also playing with one of my films, Last Gasp Chapter 2, which will start, and then you are the last film of the night there before we do our big Saturday night family event. And so I just wanted to announce that so the people who are wondering, oh, well, I don't want to get a festival pass, but I want to see Good Enough. What day? You're going to buy your Saturday festival pass because Good Enough is playing at the Mainzer in Block 3 on Saturday.
Yes.
Now, this has been a great experience, Mike. And you're also going to be in a filmmaker talk back that day, so people are going to hear you talk a little bit more there. And then me and you are both going to be on a BIPOC panel, which I think is awesome, and I really am excited for that. And I think that it's great to have so many filmmakers gathering, but so many filmmakers of color and so many lanes of our queer community, that this film festival is solely about acceptance, love, and community.
And I love it.
And we are so excited about that. So thank you, Mike, for this amazing interview. And me and you will be talking soon. But again, Saturday at the Mainzer, that is the 21st of May. He is in the third block, Good Enough, the musical. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon. Bye, Mike.
See you later, Robert.